Hey guys, welcome back to Real Scenario.
Real Scenario. Woo, woo.
Shout out to all our real lovers out there. Welcome back to another episode. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome if you are new to the Real Lover Gang. Like, subscribe, comment, review, do all the things.
Share.
To really be
Hype
part
us up.
of the gang.
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 Hi, y'all.
How you doing, Rhonda?
I'm good. I'm tired.
Truth is, I'm tired.
But I'm good. I'm
That's
good. I'm good. Yes. I had a little bit of a long day, a lot of time in the heat. And heat can just really exhaust you.
It drains you.
It just takes the friggin' life out of you. It's wild. I think my car said 102 degrees. And so I was sitting outside without shade, with clothes on, and nowhere near a pool in that type of weather. But I very much enjoyed the DC City Open. It was my first time watching a live tennis match. So that was very cool.
That's one thing. If you're younger and you want to know if you're getting older, that's like some of the reasons. Like when you younger, you can be in the heat all day and still be moving and shaking.
Yeah.
But my wife would get mad at me if we go on vacation and we got all these activities planned in the morning. And then when I want to come and take a nap, she's like, why you want to nap on vacation? We've been outside.
Baby,
this heat.
If you want me to keep going
All
later
day?
this night, you're going to have to let me go get this nap. That's it.
I need a break. I need a recharge.
Yeah, I need it. It just, I
feel
run
you.
out of steam,
I feel
so I'm a little tired, but it's all right because I love y'all. And that's all that matters. I'm going to show up.
That matters.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Blessed and highly favored. Can't complain.
Yes, God.
Yes, Lord. Let me go to a real lover review. So this one's nice because it comes from the person who actually wrote the real love scenario for us today.
Yes.
This person I just started watching at the beginning of this year. As a young black woman, it's hard to find right ones and the good ones. I've had talks with the family, but am I reading the right thing?
Yeah.
I've had talks with the family, but you know how that can go. LOL. But worth the wait, real love scenario, and for the girls has been a lifesaver. It's helped me with know what I should help. I'm Mr. With. I'm sorry. It's helped me with know. No, that's right.
Yeah,
right?
no, it's just, you just wrote it wrong. It's helping me
Okay.
with knowing what I should look for and watch out for.
Got you. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I thought I was reading it wrong, but
You wasn't reading it wrong.
Okay.
You was reading it right. It was just written wrong.
we love you.
That's all right. And because we know what you mean.
We know what you mean.
And as my friend Ty says, real friends read through typos. We appreciate the sentiments.
I
And happy
appreciate
that
it.
like all the network shows are helping you know what to look for. And honestly, when she said, I have talks with the family, but you know how that can go, for sure.
Yeah.
Because your family will be like, babe, you just need to get you somebody. All that stuff you talk about, they need to, you just need to lock in with someone. Family can just be, they just want it for you so bad that I sometimes think they don't even care about it being like right. They just want to see it happen. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Don't you know how they got like girl math? They get girl math.
Yeah.
I feel like you got Uncle Logic. That's
Yep.
a thing too.
And grandma math.
Yeah, it's like all these like, hold on, so if you get 7 scratches down at the liquor store and you play them this number, and scratch it at this time,
Yep.
I'm trying to tell you,
Yeah.
always win.
Yep.
Never lie.
Never. Never ever.
And he's
Got
like,
to-
hold on,
and
what?
when you buy them, you got to hold your right foot up. Hold your right foot up in the air till they give you your change back. That's what I do for my good luck. Yeah. Yes. They say all types of crazy things. Or like
Listen.
grandma math is like, baby, you 26. I got married at 16. What are you waiting for? It's like, you don't understand that you get married at 16 was not right. That was not a good idea, grandma. Wasn't. But I'm here for it.
We need a sitcom. I'm sorry, it's a sidebar that's centered just around a grandma, just being a grandma.
Yeah.
And I want her to say all the things.
Yeah.
You come home in shape. You eating? You eating okay? Like you.
Let me fix you something.
Let me
Come on
fix
in
you
here, sit
something. Come
down.
on, you looking skinny.
You looking sick.
You looking.
I love telling you look sick when you done lost
I swear,
the
my
weight.
grandmother. Every time I walk outside, pneumonia is the thing I'm catching. Every single time.
You gonna
Without a
catch
hat, if I
pneumonia?
don't got a jacket or a hat on,
That's right.
it's pneumonia.
You ever had pneumonia?
I have not had
Never.
pneumonia. I didn't even think about that.
No.
Never had it.
No. I'm not saying people don't get it, but it's not that simple. You don't, at the most, probably catch a common cold or the flu, Grandma. Pneumonia is the next level. It's just not easy to catch that. It develops. But thank you for.
I appreciate it. Shout out to all the grandmas out
Shout
there.
out to the grandmamas.
You ready for our real life love scenario?
I am. And you know what? I got this. I borrowed this question from the fellas over at the Nice and Neat podcast, who I love them because to me, they have a very similar mission. They try to help, especially guys, get in healthy, happy relationships. So I do enjoy their show, but they had a very funny question.
Okay.
And I wanted to bring it right on here to you and for me to talk about.
Okay.
Which is, can your wholeness be deleted? Can your wholeness be deleted? What say you?
You repeated that like a pastor, like he just announced the word of the day.
What say you, kind sir?
Ooh, well, first, we have to first define hoe in this situation. I feel like that, and we can define this together.
This is very much. I was giving past this is the beginning of the sermon right here. Before we get into the message, what we need to do is define the word hoe. Okay. If you go to first something.
H stands for. As you can see, when we get a little tired, we joke. So I think we could collectively say that, a hoe is really, when somebody says it in that nature, is more somebody who's just sexually free.
Yes.
And
sexually promiscuous is what I think.
Promiscuous, but I feel like when people say a whole phase, it's just more of like explore, like sexual freedom, not tied down to one partner, not really turning yourself off to any advances of someone that you might be attracted to or might like. If the opportunity is there, you're going to move forward with it.
Yeah, you rolling.
So if we're using that definition,
yes,
as hoe, can it be deleted? Ooh, wow. It can in circumstances.
Okay.
If you stay in the location and proximity in which you were doing the whole activities, I think it's very hard for you to delete that.
Yes.
Because although if you might change, there's a reason why there's a cliche that says, first impressions are important, right? Because they last. And if you're in that area in which you were doing that, it'll be hard to knock that reputation. Even if you now are living life on the right path, not doing that anymore in a committed relationship. Has situation. Well, no, not going to tell that story. I'll tell you that off camera.
Thank you. Okay.
If you go to a different place and kind of like, reset, then I think it can be deleted.
Yes.
And I think that's one thing. We're talking about the history of wholeness, but then we also have to talk about whole like behavior.
Yeah.
Can you recover from that? And I think that that's another thing that you have to look at when it comes to that. Because there's one, the things you did, but one, the attitude and mindset that had you in that place.
I agree with you about the relocation thing. I do think that helps, especially depending on the levels you took your wholeness to. If you were just like balls to the wall, no pun intended, and you were just like, even down to like really popular people. So they people talk, lots of people pillow talk, men and women. So I think depending on the levels that you took it to, and on top of that, if children came out of your wholeness, because sometimes your whole phase creates babies and multiple babies with multiple people, as in none of them were born within relationships. You were never married, or you weren't with their dad for 5 years or their mom for 7 years. You just had a bunch of baby moms or a bunch of baby dads. I think when you have physical representations of your whole phase, it's harder to delete it. And I don't think you can delete it. You can just recover from it. Like you can leave it behind, if you will, and no longer be a hoe. But what you did is what you did. Your past is your past. But I do think it's easier to hide it if you are nowhere near the people you were hoeing with, or if you were hoeing very discreetly, very quietly.
Some people do that.
Yeah, like some people are really having their whole phase, but you don't know nothing about it because they cool up. They quiet about it. Even the people that they sleep with are quiet about it, or they don't know. There's no degrees of separation between who they hoeing with.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I'm sleeping with Ricky over here, and then I got another hoe in a whole nother state. They don't know.
Yep.
They don't know, so they can't talk. I'm totally hoeing, but they don't know.
You know, one thing that I thought about just now when it comes to the hoeing thing, I feel like men and women care about it, but care for two different reasons. And you can let me know if you think. I feel like men care more about what you had did, to where I feel like women more look at what you did and how it impacts your future with them. You get what I'm saying? Like a man may see you being reformed, but if he knows that's how you got down before, even if you are on the right path, you don't do that anymore, he might be like, nah, I'm good. But I feel like a woman would know a dude's past and still be okay with moving forward, but more concerned about what it means for their relationship moving forward, more than caring about what he did before.
Got it. Yes. Like can he truly leave it behind?
Yes.
Where men care more about, you was doing what with all of them? Yeah, like I do think men, because I think men think more visual, right?
Yeah.
They just, it's like you was doing this and that. I think that's why a lot of times it's harder for men to forgive cheating, because it is more about what you did and less about your ability to not do it anymore. Where we do think about, okay, fine. I think also we generally think men are hoes if they're single. Like, I think most women have the propensity to just think a single man is probably hoeing, which that's not true, right? It's a bad stereotype. But I think we accept it more because that, but also because it's like, all right, cool. Hopefully that means it's behind you, but it's scary because you're like, but is it though? But is it really behind you? Will you still want to do these things? So I feel you on that.
I also think men care more about what other people think about their person.
That's it. Men
And
definitely care
women
more
don't.
about that.
Like, I've heard, like, y'all will date a dude like, yeah, he a little corny, or yeah, he not that cute, or like, I like him though,
Yep.
right? And you're okay with that, and you know it, and you're fine,
And I'ma
you're
sit
like,
beside him.
That's my man. But a man, he want to feel like the joint he with
Who
is
is
the
a
baddest
virgin
joint in the room
that
first,
nobody's ever seen or
that
touched.
nobody's ever
Yep.
touched anything.
She's
and the
pure.
moment he finds that out, it's like, dang,
Yeah.
man,
It's crazy.
like he upset, like
He's
it's like
upset.
something got tainted, and she didn't do nothing to you in that moment. She was an
Nope.
adult, free, single, doing her own thing.
Yeah, no.
Probably, way less than what you were doing when you were, doing your own thing.
Yeah.
But it's just, man, we don't do well with that.
This is why it's always been my advice that, honestly, if you haven't heard things like on the rumor mill, if you will, about a person that you met or dated, I don't think that you should talk about their past in that great of detail, like trying to figure out if they had a whole phase, because one, it does introduce these thoughts that then you ruminate on them. And then honestly, like, people are entitled to have done what they wanted to do in their past as long as they were safe about it. And if they have kids and it's a whole dynamic that you don't like, then cool. But if they are safe, if they were safe and everything's fine, like, they have every right to have had a life before you. If they say now, I'm not on that no more, then they're not. Like, you have to give people the benefit of the doubt. You have to allow them to definitely earn your trust, but don't come in like already not trusting them. Yeah, you have to take them at their word until they show you differently. So I don't believe it can be deleted, but I certainly believe that people can leave it behind them. They can say, I'm good on that. I don't want to do that anymore.
They can turn the page on that chapter of their life.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people do. That's usually a fun college young experience. And then you tend to want to get committed and settle down, and you don't do that. Now, some of y'all, though, decide to be hoes.
It's the same damn time.
Yeah, you decide to be a hoe and committed somehow all at the same time. But that's another episode for another day. Crazy tale sells.
Oh,
All right.
man.
Let's jump into this real love scenario. We hear from Anonymous, and she says, first off, I love you guys. We love you back. She says, my story is my boyfriend, or whoever he is at this point. He ignored me for a week, and then he proceeded to send this message as an explanation. In quotes, she says, I don't know how to explain it, to be honest. You're everything I want in a girl. You're amazing. I myself am not ready for a relationship mentally. I don't have another girl or anything, but I need more time to myself by myself. I'm not saying this like we can never be together, but right now I'm just not there. I've talked to my dad about it and I've just been thinking a lot. Because I don't want to hurt you more than I have by not talking to you. Just give me some time, please, to just think about all of this. You're an amazing person and I love you. So my one and only question is, should I wait for him to be ready? Good and simple.
If I had a nickel or $1.
Yeah, more like $1.
$1.
More like $1. Dre, don't start dragging us today.
No, I have we had to get a full episode through this, but I have a one word answer for your question. But
wrap it up.
One word, 2 letters.
That's okay. Dre's gonna put on his dad hat, and I actually enjoy when you put on your dad hat. I think many of our lady listeners enjoy that sometimes because men are just firmer with us, and you're just firmer in general. So I think you're going to bring some of that insight to this scenario.
Yeah, we're going to break down this whole text he sent you. Mm-hmm. But let's start with how we're going to break down this episode first.
Yeah, I think we should talk about relationship readiness and like honestly what that looks like, because we'll get into in the next part, the breakup etiquette part of it. But in his text message, he talks a lot about just not being ready. Like, he loves her. He thinks she's amazing. She is the woman that he believes he wants to spend his life with. We do know that from this scenario, they are between 21 and 29 years old. So they're younger. Mm-hmm. And he is basically, in a nutshell, saying he's just not ready. He's not ready to commit. And so you made a very big commitment and you arrived to that station. How did you know you were ready?
That's a good question, Rhonda. Was living a life of running around. It's funny that we were talking about hoeing.
Yeah, you was hoeing.
Some people might have described it in that manner. Others might say that I was ready.
Single man.
Just snacking.
Oh, others might describe it like that. Got it.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I was. But for me, it's just I use the cliche a lot. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. It's like when you are, in my situation, you're having sex with people, you're dating, but just like the feeling, the excitement that you used to feel at one point from doing all those things, it just isn't fulfilling anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not satisfying at all. Mm-hmm. And you realize that this isn't something that I ultimately want for my life and long term. So then it starts to get your mind going into a different direction and on a different path.
Yeah. I agree with you. And I think another thing is like when you really just start thinking about being committed more, like you just notice that it's a thought that pops up. You almost daydream about it, or you place yourself in that scenario. Like, I wonder what type of wife I would be or what type of husband I would be, when your mind just starts to think like that, or you find yourself like looking at people who do have that and you feel aspirational when you look at them. Like, you don't feel detached from it. You actually feel connected to that, even though you don't have it. You're looking at it like, damn, that seems so cool. That seems so dope. And I think that when you do that, and then you also do whatever research you need to do, whether that's you're reading biblically why marriage and partnership is beneficial, or you're talking to the elders in your family about why they're married or what made it work, and you start to really learn that like marriage or commitment is beneficial to your life and it can improve your overall life and your well-being. I think when you really start to see it as something that will positively impact your life, I think those are kind of some early signs that you might be ready for it, or you might be thinking about getting ready for it. Because I think there's thinking you're ready and actually doing some work to prepare yourself, because there's some real physical, tangible things that you have to do, which, you know, depending on how old you are, because a lot of this depends on that. But I do think when you think about, like, as a woman, if we're talking about in the traditional sense, getting ready for partnership, it does have to like put you in this mindset of sacrifice, and like, are you willing to share or give up certain things that you get to do the way that you want to do them, when you want to do them, and like how you do them. If you are willing to be flexible, if your mindset is already like, I'm ready to meet someone, but I'm also ready to, they like, if they want to move, I'm open to that. Or if they live in a bigger house, I'm open to possibly selling my condo or moving out of my apartment. If you start to kind of think about what things you're willing to compromise, and not things that challenge your integrity or your fundamentals, but just like things that are generally tangible or things that are very flexible. If you're preparing yourself like, you know what, I can, like, I think about blending my life and I'm ready to do that, or I'm ready to serve, because I do think partnership is also about service. And I think sometimes we struggle with that. Both, but definitely women, like this, even the term service, like, I am here to serve you. It doesn't mean that you're there to be a peasant or a slave to someone. It just means that I am here to give you as much of what you want and need as possible. And to me, that is service. You go somewhere, you want customer service. They're not coming and groveling at your feet like, here's your burger, sir. No, but they are bringing your food to you. They're coming and asking you how it is. They are refilling your coffee or refilling your drink. That is a service mindset, and
Yeah.
the same is necessary in. I don't know if y'all can hear that. Oh, Jesus, the skies is opening, Lord.
It is.
But I think that also is a telltale sign that you're
Yeah.
ready for partnership, when you're ready to serve.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think it starts with the goal and vision that you have for your life, right? I ultimately believe, like, when I made the decision, that's where it started for me. Then it came down to, okay, with the vision and the goal that I ultimately have for my life, I know that I want to be married at some point. I know when I have kids, I want to have kids in marriage and all these different things. I know that I want to have a partner to go through my life with.
Yeah.
So then I start to look at the different things I want to accomplish and look at the life that I'm living currently
Yeah.
and saying, how does what I'm doing now match up to the vision that I have for my life? And I think that that's what starts to prompt the change. So then you start to look at, oh, the sex that I'm having, I can have this with the person that I actually love, but then this person doesn't have to leave, or this person might not be out there with somebody else. And I'm thinking about that.
Right.
Like, I can actually get this moment that I'm having with this person that I don't have a committed relationship with,
Yeah.
but then also get all the other benefits with it as well.
Right.
So you start to, be in that mindset and that mood, and that's what starts to prompt that change.
Yeah. For sure. And I think there's also a part of it that what you call like covering. And to me, covering is like support and encouragement and the spirit of holding the person down. And I know sometimes those terms or those phrases, ride or die, holding someone down, especially for women, sometimes we struggle with that, because even me, like, I've been in situations where I was holding someone down and then I got the short end of the stick. I never got the reward for holding them down. But when you're with the right person, that's a spirit that goes both ways. You both are committed to, if it all goes down, if you can't hold up your arms, I'm here to fight for you. I'm here to fight with you. If you get sick, I'm going to take care of you. If you lose your job, I'm going to figure out how we can pay these bills. If your car gets totaled, I'm going to figure out how we can get you another one, or we going to share you know what I mean? It's that like covering and being prepared to, like, again, like, do life together, like, pray for, create a spiritual life with someone, like, go to God about your relationship. I think all of those things, if you're thinking about that, to me, that says like you're ready. You really are ready. You just need the person, and you need to find a person that has that same mindset. But so many people get in relationships without even half of those things that we just talked about. They're just getting in a commitment and then going down the aisle before God and saying, I want to spend the rest of my life with you, without actually like going to God about it first and foremost before you do it. But like, just considering the fact that this is not just based on how I see you, like, you cute. the sex is great, and you seem to be able to take care of yourself. Like that is what a lot of people anchor a lifetime of partnership on. Like, you're attractive. And we've been getting along for the last 6 months, for the last 12 months. And, things been cool, not considering any of these things. So, yeah, I do think it takes a lot, if you will, to be ready. But once you are ready and you do it right, i.e. like you, it's one of the best things that's ever happened to you. It's one of the best things that's ever happened to you.
It is, but I want to also clarify too what commitment actually is, and it can come a lot of different forms in the sense of like that desire that you have for singleness or for somebody else outside of that commitment. But when I say the juice isn't worth the squeeze, what I mean by that is that when you're committed, you may still desire juice or like want juice, right? But you're saying that the effort, the things that it would take for me to have that juice just isn't worth it.
Right.
It's like how many of us want $1 million? We all would love $1 million and desire that. But if I say you had to rob a bank to do it, you'll look at the risk and all the things that come with it and say, it's not worth that for $1 million. And that's what happens in commitment. I feel like some people make this false thing to where it's like, oh, you don't look at people anymore, or no, you still look, and you may see something like, man, he or she look good. Like, man, back in the day, if I was, but you look at the situation and you're like, for me to go down that path and mess up the thing that I have, it's not worth it.
It's not.
And then that is the thing that lowers the desire that you truly have, is the risk of losing the thing that you ultimately love and know you want it. Not that it being present, you just go blind as a man or a woman, or you just won't love that anymore or anything like that.
Nope.
And then second,
your eyes aren't gouged out.
They are not. And the second thing I feel like is important too is it takes time. You can make the decision in your mind you're going to do something, but for it to actually happen could take months, maybe even a year. Like, I remember when I said I was ready to be committed and I didn't want to have sex until marriage. You know how many times I slipped up before I actually made it to the point to where I actually was like, this is what I'm going to do?
Sure.
I even like my man in this situation. I can break it down because I've been him. I've been the man. I've been him. I sent that text and I could tell you what I meant when I said it. But it's like, I have gotten into a relationship because I thought I was ready. It wasn't trying to play. It wasn't trying to be a bad dude. I thought in the moment when I committed to the girl that I was ready for commitment.
Yeah.
But then when I got in the situation, I realized
psych,
I ain't ready.
Yeah.
And that's, some people just have to learn in that way, and it sucks. And I've had the chance to apologize to my ex for that, for this. But sometimes you are a casualty of somebody's learning experience.
That's right.
Live life long enough, it'll happen to everyone. You'll end up being a casualty in somebody's journey of learning and experiencing life. It sucks.
Yeah.
But it's just a reality for all of us. I know you have.
Absolutely. On both sides of it.
Yeah, on both sides.
I've had to hurt people's feelings, and I've certainly had
learn
mine.
and grow from
Absolutely. I mean, human life, there's so many things, right? Books, videos that you can read and try to figure out how to do life, and don't do this and do that and da 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 da. But this is a total experiment. Like, lived life is a total experiment. You are in many ways learning on the job. And the thing that makes you a person of integrity or not is if you truly take those lessons and you do better. When you learn something, the idea is that you'll do better. But sometimes, yes, you're gonna have to learn by falling. Like when you were raised, it's like I'm sure your dad or your stepdad, like, you had to fall a few times off that bike to learn how to hold your balance. If I held you the entire time, you would never learn how to balance yourself out. So yes, we do have to fail, but we want to fail forward always. We never want to fail backwards. We never want to just keep repeating the same lessons over and over and over again.
Exactly.
So absolutely, you will be a casualty in someone's story, and you may very well create casualties in someone's.
Riding that bike, you might hit somebody's mailbox, knock it over.
Listen,
that wasn't your intention.
You
but
might scuff your knee,
it's
break
part of
your elbow.
Journey. It's part of their journey. It's like, it's a part of life. And I've experienced that. And I know it's very possible that you're dealing in this situation with a good dude. He thought he was ready, but then he realized, like, maybe after being in the situation, like, yeah, I'm not as raised as I thought I was.
Yeah.
And people do it for a lot of different reasons. Like
Yeah.
I committed one time because I thought she was great, amazing. I can see all that. And I didn't want to let her go. Like
Yeah.
let anybody else get a chance at that.
Yeah.
And that's not a great reason to commit, right? Because it's like, am I doing it because I really want to do it? Or am I doing it just to try to close her off to anybody else?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's all these different reasons of how it could happen. But you'll know, like when you are ready for sure, like it won't be a question that you have to ask yourself. You'll know, like, okay, I'm tired of how things were going. I'm in the mindset now. I'm truly committed and intentionally living my life to be in something committed and serious. Now, does that mean it's going to happen immediately for you just because you're in the mindset? Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. But it's still just getting in that frame of mind, and you operate different. Rhonda will tell you, you date different, you talk to people different, you ask different questions, you evaluate different, because one thing you ain't trying to do when you searching for commitment is waste your time.
Ooh, Jesus. Yep.
Rhonda like, yes, yep.
Very true. Very, very, very true. I actually, and I don't know them from a can of paint, right?
Yes.
I felt like when I read what he sent to her, it felt genuine just from the limited amount of information that I have, right? It could be games, it could be a lie, but the messaging felt genuine, right? But then when I thought about the method in which it was sent, that's where I struggle. Because if we are in a relationship and I have a probably a cadence of speaking to you, which is how she arrived to the station of he was ignoring me. He ignored me for a week. So that means you were trying to reach out to him, maybe calling, maybe texting, whatever. And after a week, he responded and was like, I ain't gonna be able to do this.
Yeah.
I know, this is my disclaimer. I know breaking up with people is very hard. Saying things to people that hurts their feelings is very hard. But one of, to me, the most callous things you can do is break up with someone over text message that you talk to. Like, I don't know any relationships that only exist in texting, and between you and I, if that is the only way your relationship exists, he's either in jail, which by the way, they be talking on the phone. Or it's not a real relationship. Like something's going on. It's either catfish or it's some weirdness. But to tell someone over text messaging that you want to break up with them, I just think it's very callous. I know that makes it easier because you could just get all your thoughts out, but that's not the way. Like I just think it's already hurtful. That makes me feel reduced to me, like that you couldn't just like call me and tell me that. Like that just makes the hurt worse.
Okay. So up until this very moment, I've always agreed with that sentiment.
Okay.
Until this very second. And not that I do not not that I like don't agree with you at all, but I'm starting to think of her from a different lens, maybe. Is that, well, let me ask you this. Why? Like, why do you need me to tell you, I guess, in person versus the text? And this is the thing, right? There's been times in my relationship where we have tried to communicate things to each other, but when we talk, the emotions, the ability for a rebuttal, things get lost in translation, right? But when you write it, you take your time on what you're saying. You're trying to word it the right. You'll play with an and a the like for 5 minutes to try to put it in the right place and make sure that what you're saying is truly how you feel.
Sure.
So a lot of times when you're getting something written out, it's more thought out. And it's also allowing you the time to read it. And if you are writing back, responding in a way that's more thought out for you. So I think there's the technical part of it and the emotional part. I think from a technical communicating how you truly feel, writing is probably better. But from the emotional part and how it makes you feel, talking in person is probably better.
Yeah.
And I think that's relationships, right? The theoretical easy part of it, but then you throw the emotion soup in there, and that's what
And
makes
it
it
can get chaotic.
makes it more challenging. Like most simple advice, just talk about it. That's pretty much the advice for most relationship issues.
Yep.
But when you throw the emotions in there,
Yeah, talking turns into yelling, into crying, into stomping,
it
walking
gets
out.
tricky.
Yes.
So like, what do you think about that?
You know, I think that's it's a valuable perspective. It definitely is. I have had difficult conversations in writing because we were incapable of having them in person, right? Like it had just gotten to a place where we either wouldn't let each other talk, we wouldn't let the other person finish their thought. And so this became just like a better vehicle to have at least some sort of cohesion in our communication process. But I do think just we run from things that are hard, and this is just an example of that, because if you weren't breaking up with me, and you were just being like, I want to go to dinner, and granted, again, don't be crazy facetious. Yes, you can say I want to go to dinner over text message, but if you weren't having a difficult conversation, you would easily just call me. If you weren't saying something that is going to potentially hurt my feelings, you would just tell me. I don't like it that sometimes it's almost like we cower to when sometimes communication has to be hard. And that's just a reality of being an adult and a human being, that every conversation is not going to be roses and peaches and cream. We were just talking about this off camera. Like sometimes you aren't going to like what I have to say, or in this case, this breakup is going to actually hurt your feelings. And I think before you go to have that communication, you have to accept the fact that what you are about to say, even if it's not intended to be hurtful, it is going to hurt them. You have to know that. Breaking up with someone who you were just in a relationship with yesterday, even if the relationship was crazy yesterday, actually saying out of your mouth, I don't want to do this anymore. I am finished with this relationship. I love you, blah, 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 blah. No matter what you say to pad it, whatever, it's going to be hard. And I think it's just a skill we have to learn how to do, whether it's in romantic relationships or otherwise. Because if you only can easily communicate when the topic is soft and easy and good, to me, you're not a good communicator. You have to be able to do it when things are good and bad, when things are easy and tough, when things are simple and complex. You have to figure out how to do it, because life isn't going to just keep serving you easy things. Like there's going to maybe be a time where you're a CEO or entrepreneur. If you run away from having to tell your VP, hey, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. You're failing at these metrics for our performance. If you can't say that because you only want to be able to tell him, great job, you killing it out here, your company is going to suffer, because you can only show up when things are easy and eat and cool for you. So I do hear you. And I think, like I said, it's a very valuable perspective. And I think that if you know that it's going to be just like, but why? No. And if it's not going to be cohesion in the communication, I do understand doing it over text message, but I think it's worth a try. Yeah. I think it's at least worth a try to talk about it. And if you can't, then you have to do what you have to do.
No, I think that's a good perspective, and even to play devil's advocate on my own perspective, that I just shared, is that if your goal a lot of times when you are communicating via text is to not necessarily hurt the person's feelings,
sure,
or soften the blow, essentially, is that through text, although technically you can communicate all the words that you wanted to strategically, the emotion doesn't come through.
Right.
Through that.
I can't see your tone.
I don't know how remorseful you truly are, right? Yeah. I don't know if you are truly sad about this thing ending. It feels insensitive, especially if, like you said, we have been in this relationship and we've been doing this in person so far, but you communicate this to me in this way. Now, I've done it all ways. Like, I've stopped talking to somebody over text. I've said something to somebody over text and said, I'm willing to talk about this, but I just wanted to get my thoughts out.
Yeah. And I think if something like that was included,
that would make it different.
That would make it very different.
I just wanted to clearly articulate my thoughts, but
Yep.
I'm willing to talk
Yep.
about this if you have any questions
That
or concerns. anything
totally,
like that.
or even if you admitted that, like, I was scared to say this to you, like I'm literally in a moment where I'm struggling because I know this is gonna hurt you, and I don't want to hear you cry. I know this is gonna make you sad. Like, I think that you can be honest about the fact that how you may be choosing to communicate it could add to the hurt, but acknowledge that I'm sorry that I'm sending this by text message, or I needed to get my thoughts out. We can talk about it later. I think adding that changes it totally. But just not adding that and just telling me like that is like, so now we're dealing with two things. We're dealing with the breakup, but also how you chose to tell me about it. A man that I was probably just talking to, well, not yesterday, but in her case, a whole week ago. So I just think there's a way to handle people when you break up with them. One, you just really do have to accept the fact that you're gonna hurt them. It is gonna hurt.
It's just funny, like this situation in particular. It's not funny, but sometimes I think about like the different people I've talked to in my life, and I'm like, yeah, this one person I would have talked to would have been like, well, did your daddy tell you to text me too?
Right. That part.
You said you talked to your daddy about, did he tell you to text me about this too? That's the advice you got?
Right.
Like, it's like,
yeah, because it's just, like I said, you don't need anything to you don't need an added layer to something that's already hard. Just try to push through it and like pick up the phone. But I do think whether he's being honest and genuine, and that he really because I'm gonna be the silly hopeful girl that sometimes we can be, only in the sense that he could be genuine. And I think no matter what, regardless of whether or not he's genuine or not, whether this is game or straight up and down truth, he said what he said.
very true.
The result is still the same.
Yes, it is.
He's not in a relationship with you. And so it doesn't matter. Now, it will matter on your actual question about waiting for him. But ultimately, if someone is telling you they are not ready for something that you're ready for, you absolutely need to believe them. You should believe them. And I know that women, we struggle with that. We very much struggle with that. We love to campaign and sell ourselves but I'm so great, and I'm so this, and what about those times, and I can make your life so this and that and the third. We want to believe that we can convince them to decide on something that they're just not ready for. And the last thing you want is to be in a relationship with a man who felt like you twisted his arm to get into it, or you convinced him, or he did it or went along with it because of how hard you worked at it. Like, he didn't really have to do much of any work. He just kind of laid back and it was like, I'm gonna just give her what she wants. That also creates resentment in him, because then he'll look up and it's like, I chose you, but I didn't really choose you. I felt pressured, or I felt like I had to do this because you wouldn't let it go and you wouldn't leave it alone. And then I didn't want to hurt your feelings. And I'm not saying his decision was right. I'm just saying that's a reality. And so when someone says they're not ready, believe them. Doesn't matter if he's sleeping with 900 people behind your back. If he said, I don't want this, believe that he doesn't want it. You can't do anything to change that. Only he can change that.
I agree. I agree.
So do you think his message is game? Because you said you sent these types of messages before, and you can say what you felt like they meant. Did you send them? Did they mean different things at different times for you?
That's not necessarily game in the sense that like he's a bad person or anything of that nature. I've sent these messages before, and I've actually received this message maybe once or twice. In a sense, it wasn't through text; it was in person. But let's break this down, because your question is ultimately, should you wait for him? He says, I don't know how to explain it, to be honest. You're everything I want in a girl. You're amazing. First two sentences that let you know not to wait. He says that to make you feel good. He says that to soften the blow, because I've done that, and I've had that done to me, to where you're telling me I'm everything you want, everything that you can imagine. Like, I remember a girl told me, like, you're the type of man that I would marry. And it's like, what am I supposed to do with that right now? You're just saying
Can't cash that check nowhere.
You're saying that to make me feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying I have some great qualities, but there's something about me to where I'm not the person that you ultimately want to be with.
Right.
You just like some of the qualities that I do have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I've seen situations to where somebody needed time and they assured the person, you are the person I want to be with. I need to get some things in order, but you please wait. Like, please.
Yeah.
Like, I am going to get this stuff together. Like, I will come back. My stepdad did that with my mom. He started dating her, but he realized he had to get some stuff together before continuing to pursue.
Yeah.
But he made it very clear, you are the one that I want to be with. I'm getting some stuff together. I'm not trying to date anybody else. I ain't trying to talk to nobody else. There's some things you wouldn't understand that I just need to get in order, and I'm not going to bring you into that. So what that still comes across as is I'm preparing my future with you in mind, even with taking the pause. That's how that's communicated. This is not communicated like I'm preparing my future with you in mind. That's the difference in the language.
Yeah. And he teeters on it a little bit. Like, I'm not saying this is a forever thing. I'm not saying that it's a never.
That's a soften the blow thing.
Yeah.
That's
like
a soften the blow thing.
it gives lingering.
Yeah.
It's almost making it seem like he has no control over it.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's the openness that softens the blow, right? It's something that somebody wants to make you feel better, right?
Yeah.
It's a common sales thing. It's a common business thing. Because guess what? There are multiple thousands, hundreds, maybe sometimes even millions of realities and situations to where if something fell one way, then this or that could happen. So me saying that we can't do this right now, but there's a possibility that at some point, this could come. Yeah, there's a possibility.
Just like there's a possibility it's gonna rain tomorrow.
Yeah, it's always a possibility. Like, there are not a lot of things to where there is not a possibility.
Sure.
So somebody just leaving the door open to say, but maybe, sometime in the future, like possibly if it's just trying to soften the blow.
Sure.
Because that's something that they could always lean back on and say, didn't say never. I just said, not right now. And there's some time that maybe it could at some point if this happened and it were perfect to be able to come back together. He don't mean that as wait for me. I'm going to be waiting for you. I'm getting myself together for you in order to be with you. That's not what he means.
Or like, please wait for me. Or like, I know I can't make you. Oops, sorry. I can't make you wait for me, but I really want you to. I hope that you will. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't include any of that language. So, didn't I say Dad was gonna put it down? Dad put it down.
And the last part of it too, just give me some time, please, to just think about all of this. He's hoping you don't follow back up. That's what he's hoping. It's like, I just need some time. That's not, there's no number. There's no number of weeks. There's no number of days. It's just leaving it open.
Yeah.
I just need time.
Yeah.
You hit him up in a week, it's not enough time. You hit him up in 3 months, it's not enough time. You hit him up in 4 months, it's not enough time. Time can be whatever I want it to be.
Or 1 century.
Right.
Yeah.
I can tell you how I needed 10 years. I needed, time, he's purposely put that there to let you know, like, don't hit him up. And then you're an amazing person and I love you. I think he truly believes that.
Yes.
I think he truly believes that you're amazing. Don't take this as he's a horrible person.
No.
I think he's trying to do this in a way to protect your feelings, to not hurt you, even though it will hurt.
Of course.
So I've seen this done in ways that aren't carefully put like this and with no care at all.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't look at this as like, he's a horrible person. As Rhonda said, he's just not ready.
He's just not ready.
And I've said it before in a past episode, but you would not have a broken leg and be looking at a doctor talking about, or somebody who's not even a doctor yet, and just wait for him to go to pre-med and specialize in legs and all that stuff to come back 4 years and to fix your leg. You wouldn't be waiting. Like, you'd be like, well, if you're not ready now to fix my broken leg,
I gotta go where
I gotta
Somebody
go
is
somebody
ready.
else who is ready.
That's right.
I'm not sitting here waiting for you to hopefully
Mm-hmm.
be pre-med,
That's it.
hopefully get into med school,
Sure.
hopefully choose a specialization that can help surgically repair this
Mm-hmm.
leg. Like I can't wait for all that. It's
That's
too
it.
much indecision, too much hope, and then I could be sitting here and you decide to go another path, and then
I've been waiting.
I've been waiting the whole time.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, dating is already in relationships. It already comes with an immense amount of risk. Even getting married, you take vows that you're going to do it forever, but it still comes with the risk that it might not be forever. Something might happen 20 years later, 40 years later, 2 years later. And it's like, damn, we really thought that day that we stood in front of each other, we really thought we were going to do this forever and ever. But that just doesn't already happen. So there's already uncertainties, even when you are going into it with the best intentions and you're doing the work, that sometimes it just doesn't work out. But ultimately, I really, really, really just want people to know that if someone is honest enough, and I'm using air quotes, but it's only because some people lie about them being ready, period, when sometimes they're just not, they just don't want you, right? But regardless, if they are honest enough to say, I am not ready, fine, fine. Thank you for telling me. Thank you for telling me. The clock now gets to stop on this, and I don't now have to try to figure out why you don't do certain things. Because let's be clear, when someone isn't ready for commitment, long life partnership, marriage, or whatever form of that you want, it already shows before they say that. How a person moves that wants to be in a relationship is different than a person who does not. Okay, you do not operate the same. We just talked about that in the wholeness section. You don't show up the same way. If I don't care about how I handle you, or I don't make an effort to talk to you every day, or I don't check on your well-being, that is likely indicative of the fact that I don't want to be connected to you in that way. I want to have you how I have you. I want to talk to you when we at happy hour, or when we going to get dinner before we go have sex. Like, that may be all I care about. A person who wants to create a future with you will incorporate you through conversation in their future. Like, maybe they're working on something in their house and they're like, what if this was your yard, what would you want right here? Or, like, I feel like, if things work out, you can always frame it that way. But when someone is framing it that way, when they're talking to you, like, I mean, if we do make it the full route, like, this closet is huge, like, I think you would actually like it. They speak in a sense of hopefulness, but that says a lot about their mindset and their intention on how they're dating you. If they go out of their way to bring you joys and pleasures and do nice things for you and consider you, they're not just consuming your time, but they're consuming it in a way that is intentional, that brings you happiness. They care about your happiness. That is a person that is more than likely ready. A person who's not ready is already showing you behaviors that they're not ready. They're inconsistent. They don't go out of their way to make you happy, or they do it in a very infrequent way. They do it here to get a little bit of something, but they don't do it over there because they don't need it right now. So when someone's not ready, they're just not ready. And I just don't want anyone, woman, man, whoever, to fight against that or try to convince people to be ready when they just aren't. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all arrive there at a different time. Some people don't get ready for commitment until they're 50. He's in his 20s. You're clearly in your 20s. He may not be ready for 10 or 15 more years. He's not going to know that until he knows that. But at least today, between his own arrival to this concept and then having a conversation with his father, it sounds like he is clear that while you are amazing and you are great, and I love that Dre was like, that's reason number 1 and 2 why you shouldn't be waiting, because you are amazing and you are great, which means someone else is going to be ready for that.
That's what I wanted to say, is that that's not an indictment on you. Don't take it as like you did anything wrong. Like, take him for what he said. You are amazing. You are a wonderful person. Like, I broke up with my ex in college, who I've talked about on this show. I still say she was amazing. She was a great girl. That doesn't mean that there was something wrong with her or something wrong with me. It's just there wasn't alignment based off of time, where I was in life, the person I was, the person that she was. And I think we have to make that distinction, because getting ghosted or something like that is one thing, right? And when you get ghosted, which we talked about in the last episode, there may have been something small that you did that may have turn them off and had them not reply, right? But when you look at something like you've been in a relationship with somebody, they think you're amazing, but they're not ready. It's probably less of like a small little quirk, but more of like a long time future thing that they're just like, maybe we aren't aligned on something that could be like marriage worthy.
Yeah.
And a lot of times with that, in my opinion, it's not always something that you need to fix. It's just we're not compatible on those specific things.
That's it.
Right. And I would also be thankful that you have somebody who, we say it all the time on the show, like, don't drag somebody along.
That's right.
Don't wrap somebody in something if you ain't ready for it. Like, for whatever reason you feel like you aren't ready for it. Even if it's something about them that you don't like, communicate that you're not ready to go to the next step with them, to spare them what it may be. If you choose to move forward, it's like, it doesn't matter what it is. If you cannot move forward with somebody or have no desire to, communicate that as early as possible. It will not be easy. It will hurt, but in the long run, it is helpful to them and helpful for you too.
Absolutely. And I would respect you more.
Yes.
I would respect you more that you know yourself enough to know what you can't do, to know what you are willing to do and what you are not willing to do. You know at least that much about yourself. Now, you may have to figure out why you aren't ready. But that's on you. That's your business. But you at least know, like, I should not waste this person's time because they've made it clear that they want a certain thing that I don't want. So let me go. Let me just be like, you know what? Whether we like it or not, it's me. It's not you. Or is you, it's not me. Regardless, it needs to be wrapped on up. It needs to be wrapped on up. You have to
talk to that. We like, oh, like, it's so good to see you. Like, how are you? Like, that means it ended respectfully.
Yes.
Good, versus like,
look, hey, I thought you died because haven't heard from you since that night we went out. That's crazy. And I thought but you're alive. That's wild. Asshole. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when it's bad blood.
I was like, that's the woman's sarcasm. Whenever you get that tone, that hint of that, it sounds positive initially.
It's not.
It's not.
It's coming. It's just a matter of moments. So I think you might have a really good idea on what we are going to say.
No, don't wait.
Dre, you said it so fast. I don't know if she heard you. Should she wait?
No.
Okay.
N-O.
I agree.
Don't wait.
I agree.
Because he ain't waiting for you.
Yeah. No. And I think here's the reality, right? If you are somehow still single when he is ready and you want to then reconsider for him, he's shown and proved that he can be and he can show up in a way that you would want and you like. And again, you are single. You didn't intentionally make yourself single. You just still happen to be single. You happen to be single. If you want to take a spin on that again, by all means, but literally deciding to just sit around and be like, I'm going to wait until he's ready and to come back and pick me up, that's a no. That's a no.
And let me tell you something. This feeling that he has does not go away in 2 weeks. I'll let you know that. Just through experience. I'm going to let you know. Because sometimes people send stuff, and then if you go radio silent, it's like, oh,
I had a couple days to think about it, and then I talked to my mom.
Talk to my sister,
and she said I was stupid, and I agree.
Yeah, because if you give them radio silence, somebody might not expect that. They might expect you to be on their line back. What happened? What? And then they'll come back when there's radio silence and try to like sneak back up in there.
Nah.
But you need to go. If you try to do that, you need to be like, nah.
You're not ready. You're not ready.
You're not ready.
And I'm also not ready to receive you.
Because if it was 2 weeks, you ain't had to send me that text.
Yeah, exactly. She said, no, baby, go get yourself ready. I don't think you can be ready in 2 weeks. And here's the funny thing about you not being ready 2 weeks ago. Now I'm not ready. Now I'm not ready.
Just miss me.
Look at that. We ship sailing, passing in the wind. That's crazy how that happens. Wild. No, you got to stand on it at least for some time. But I do think obviously there are plenty of celebrity examples, but just other examples of people who circled the block, as they call it, right? Or spent the block, as they call it. And I think when you can truly believe it, you can put your bones into like, oh, they did this or they did that, then great.
Spent the block, not stayed on the block.
That's right. Spent the block, not stayed on the block. Not stayed on the block. The most popular one right now is Ashanti and Nelly. They were broken up for 10 years, both in other relationships. I was about to say,
you think they was virgins and just
abstaining?
And
no, they both were in public relationships, at least one in the time that they were broken up.
Yep.
And it just so happened that fate would have it that their paths would cross again at a time where they both seemingly were ready and believed in that, and now they are having the life that they were unable to have however many years ago. So there's proof that it could happen, but sitting around and waiting to see, no, babe.
And that's still the exception and not the rule.
Yeah, that's literally, because most of the time they gonna get ready. It's just not gonna be with you. It's not gonna be with you. There was times where I wasn't ready, and I was never ready for that particular person. I had to go through some things, and then I became more ready for the next guy. So yes, he got to benefit from something that this one did not. That's just how life would have it, you know? So do not. And especially, I'm not trying to fall into the cycle of what we see online a lot of like scaring 20 somethings into not getting older and staying single. But the reality is doing more things when you are younger is better. You have better energy for it. You have a higher tolerance for certain things, like the capacity to date. Like right now, it's harder for me to date just because I'm older and I'm comfortable in the sense of like, that just feels rigorous to me. But when I was 23, like, what? I could go on 3-4 dates in a week.
Go on.
Now I don't even want to have 3 or 4 conversations in a week. Now I'm like, I got to just pick one. I'm gonna just talk to him and just see how this goes. You know what I mean? Like I just don't have the patience for it. So as a young woman, who is amazing and all of the things, like don't wait. Just do your thing and just see what happens. See what happens. If it's meant to be, if you believe in God and it's meant to be, nothing that's for you will miss you ever. So if this man is really for you, it won't miss you. It won't miss you. Not at all. But
and this is your learning lesson, just to not necessarily take dating too serious, but understand that this is just a process.
Mm-hmm.
That every person that's not your person is not going to work out.
It's not.
So it's like,
you know how many people I thought I was going to marry? Not many, but a couple. More than one. Okay? More than one. I thought I was going to marry 2 men for sure. And that's it. That's where I'm going to leave that. That's right where I'm going to leave that.
It's part of the process.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we really hope we were able to help you. As always, I want to update. We love updates. So please let us know how this goes. And if, since you wrote into us, he has circled back, double back, or tried to walk back anything that he said, I would love to know that. But if you have a real love scenario, we would love to hear from you. Please write to us. Head over to relationshiprestored.com, click the contact button, and write in. Give us all the juicy details so we can help you with your scenario. Follow us on social media. I'm at Ronnie Cakes.
As Jay Smith.
And at Relationship Restored. We'll see you next time.
Peace.